Good evening and welcome to Coffee Talk, number 223 live stream. Been a long day. I'm enjoying a cup of Folgers coffee, a pod, with 2 French vanilla creamers, 10 ounces. And as I often say, life is good. I love my coffee. Folgers coffee. They used to say handpicked by Juan Valdez, little Mexican guy or Latin American guy in a sombrero with a poncho on with his little donkey. KP Heathen and Mama 4 Boys. Idaho Garden Girl, welcome. The Bud Files, welcome. I tell you what, Heathen, I been looking at your shorts, been looking at your community post. You put out some good stuff, son. Keep it up, doing good stuff. Hope you're doing well, Mama 4 Boys. 3 likes, thank you. Hey, would everybody basically make a comment for me? Would you do a comment? I'm going to ask you to do a certain comment. Please make the comment. Give them a like, Bud Files. Please leave that comment. Give him a like, Bud Files. Hillbilly Josh and the Black Widow, thank you for coming in. I'm pretty sure the Bud Files is already gone. And the reason why I said that is Bud Files always makes a brief appearance on my channel, usually towards the beginning of my live stream. And the people that will come in at that point will give me a like and they'll tell me they're giving me a like. Bud Files comes in and there's a little pause and there's no like. And I can ask them to give me a like and I still don't get a like. So, I don't know. Whenever I go into somebody's live stream or whenever I go into somebody's short or I go to a video or a community wall post, I always leave a like. I usually tell people what like number I am. You don't have to, and I don't always do that. But I always leave a like, and then I always leave a comment so that you know I was there. And that's just, to me, good manners. But I mean, and I have been over to Bud Files. I don't regularly view Bud Files stuff, but I will occasionally go over, and whenever I do, I always leave a like and I leave a comment. With me, it's basically good manners. A like to me is being friendly and having good manners. It's acknowledging that somebody did a decent job, or somebody's putting forth an effort. You know, make them feel good. It doesn't cost, leaving a like doesn't cost anybody anything to leave a like. And I'm drinking Folgers coffee, a pod with 10 ounces of water from my Keurig, and I put 2 French vanilla creamers in it. Excellent coffee. Very good. Isobar. Hello, Isobar. Thank you. And I'll tell you another funny one. Here's a funny one. A channel that I follow. In this channel, they have 10, 12,000. They got a bunch of subscribers. And I will periodically go, and I don't consistently do it, but every so often I go and I'll put them on my playlist, and I'll play a 1 hour, 2 hour, one of their live streams. I'll do a full replay, and then I'll leave a comment, full replay, like number. I'll mention their name, and then I'll say blessings, and I'll leave them I'll leave them a prayer emoji and a thumbs up emoji. And that's usually when I go and I do replays on, like I did 6 last night. One channel I think it was Nita. Might have been Nita. Anyway, one of the channels that I did the replay on, they had a 40-minute live and they had like a 21-minute live, and I did both of those, and I left them a like, and I told them what like number it was, full replay, comment, you know, blessings. I did that for five different channels, but one channel it was like two live streams. One was a 40-minute, the other one was like a 21-minute. And I always, and these are some channels that I give more frequency to. Some of them is like almost every day. I give more frequency to. I normally, when I do a playlist, I try to do a playlist like overnight. So in other words, like I go to bed, I sleep for about 8 hours. I try to do about 8 hours of playtime. Sometimes, and the other thing is, I usually don't run a 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hour live stream. Some people will do live stream video types. They're like silent ones overnight. I usually don't run those. I usually will pick through their stuff, and I'll find a 1 hour or 2 hour, even though it might be a couple of weeks old, I'll find something that's like 1 hour to 2 hours. Uncle Al, I bullfrog. So I had run somebody's live stream. This happened a week or 2 ago, and I thought it was funny. And I'm not going to mention the name, but I run a live stream, and it was like more than an hour. And I did my spiel, full replay, like number, whatever, their name, blessings, and then the prayer and the thumbs up emoji. Well, you know, an hour later, I'm looking at my channel, and they had played one of my little short, like a 1.5 or 2 minute videos. It was a video, and I periodically would do these little shout out videos, or I'll do these little short videos, and I like the perspective of the full screen and my ability to edit it the way I want to, and it, you know, it doesn't cut anything off. So sometimes, instead of doing it as a short and it won't get near as many views, I'll just do it as a video. And I had done one of these videos, and they left a comment, full replay and like number, you know, full replay on a 1.5 video. Wow, thank you. Thank you. I laughed my head off. I mean, I didn't comment back to them that way. I said thank you to them. But I was thinking, full replay on a minute and a half video. You tell me you did a full replay on a minute and a half video. And I was just giggling and laughing. I was thinking about it. To me, it was just the funniest thing ever. Little Lone Prepper, welcome. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. And it wasn't anybody in here right now. So you see 8 or 10 people in here right now. That channel is not in here right now. I don't even think they'd remember it, but they might think about it by the way I described it. A minute and a half video, and they put on their full replay. If I'm going to look at somebody's video and it's a minute and a half, you better believe it's going to be a full replay. I do full replays on 10-minute videos. I mean, I watch the whole thing. Every once in a while, when I watch it, I'll hit that little button and it'll do a timestamp of how much of the video you watched. I've been doing that for Uncle Al lately. When I watch his stuff, you can't timestamp a short, but for videos you can timestamp them. You're all right. So, Black Widow, explain that one because I may not know it. The other day, a person ran my shorts playlist. I am under 4,000, so it didn't help at all. But their intention was good. Oh, your watch hours, you mean? You're under 4,000 watch hours? Oh, okay. Well, at least it gave you plays. Yeah, it gave you the count. I tell you what I will do, Black Widow. I have, like, most of the time I run stuff for people. I'm using my main channel. I'll run you on my backup channel. I will use my iPad tonight, and I will run you on my backup channel. I'll run a playlist, and I'll give you as many hours as I can, because you need 69 hours. I'll get you as many hours as I can from my backup channel. And that way, I'll be playing stuff that I've run before on my main channel. So I'll make sure you get that play time and the hours. I'll run it on my backup channel tonight. Mr. Whistle, how are you doing, Mr. Whistle? Thank you for coming in. Little Lone Prepper, actually, everybody in here right now has got the blue wrench. So all you have to do is click on, just click on them, and you can go directly to their channel. Everybody in here's got the blue wrench. And I'll run that when I get off. Tonight I will dedicate my iPad to running for Black Widow on my backup channel. So overnight, that should get you at least 8 hours. Oh, that coffee is really good. I'm gonna have a meatloaf for supper. 10 ounces of pure heaven. Folgers coffee, Folgers pod, classic pod from my Keurig with 2 French vanilla creamers. Oh, that was so good. Nectar of the gods. Holly Ivans. Hello, Holly. So, just to let you know the plans, I'm going to find somebody that will help me complete my monetization app paperwork or whatever the hell I've got to do for monetizing. I'm going to do that when school gets out. I'm going to be getting a new. Um, I'm going to get a new MacBook, something nice, and I'm going to get probably a new iPhone. I need to get a new iPhone, and I will probably wind up getting a new iPad. Um, I've got other things I need to do. I need to have somebody. I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to have somebody sand, putty, or caulk, as you call it, and put primer, and then paint my eaves, overhangs, soffits, which are wood. I've had rotten wood replaced. It needs to be sealed up, with primer, and so I'm going to have that done this summer. I've got an old tree out front that's dying. It's starting to rot, and I don't want the thing to fall over and kill me or somebody else. So I'm going to have that tree taken down. Those are 2 things I want to do. I also want to have my electrical panel replaced with a more powerful service. That'll run me $1,500 to $2,000. I'm going to have that done this summer. I've got a few things I'm going to have done this summer. Something else I need to do is I'm going to replace my battery bank, which is AGM batteries, with lithium this summer. And I'll probably install 3 100 amp. I'll link them, and that will give me almost 4 kilowatts. A 100 amp 12-volt battery is about 1,300 watts. An amp is about 13 watts. 100 amps is about 1,300 watts. What that means is for 1 hour, that battery will put out 1,300 watts. And I'll plan on getting 3 100 amp batteries. I could buy a 200 amp battery, or I could buy a 300 amp battery. Why do I get the 100 ones? Weight. You want to move them around? They're heavy. I'm getting old. It's like, why do I go buy a 24 pack of half liters when I used to buy a 40 pack? The weight. I don't have the strength I used to have, and it's a strain. So as I get older, I back off a little bit, and I just do it a little bit differently. So as I was saying, as an example, my friend Isabar, and I'm horrible with pronunciations. I apologize if I don't have the pronunciations exactly right. I run one of Isobar's live streams overnight. And a little while ago, I went and you know, full replay, like number, um, the name, blessings, a prayer, and a thumbs up. And that's normally that's my MO. When I'll let you know I run a full replay. Now, did I watch it? No, I didn't watch it. But my device ran it so you get the watch time and you get the like. And I left a comment. You know. And if it's shorter stuff, of course. I watch lots of shorts. And I leave likes and comments. And I'll leave a like and a comment on a community wall post. Videos, shorter videos, I watch them and I watch the whole thing. You know. And I'll leave a like and a comment. When I've been at your channel, you'll know. You will know when I've been at your channel. Also, when I have time and I have energy, I do a community wall post and I'll shout out channels. Like, as an example, right now there are, according to my iPad, there are 10 likes and there are 5 in the house. I'm blind, you know. I'm looking at 11 names so far that I've written down of channels that have come through. I may, after this video is over, if I still feel like it, I don't know, an hour from now or 40 minutes from now, you know, I'm about 22 minutes in. I don't know. I still got to eat my supper. I've got meatloaf with vegetables. I may do a community wall post tonight. And if I do it tonight, I will link all of the channels that are in here. Most likely it'll be tomorrow. If things go okay where I feel like doing it, I have time to do it, I'll do 1 or 2 community wall posts with images and stuff. And I will link channels. And I always link the channels that come into my live streams. It's like a shout out. And whether you're a content creator or you're not, I don't distinguish, I link you. That's just like, you know, when I do my next giveaway box, 1,600 subscriber giveaway box, and I'm sitting at 1,564 right now. I've got 36 to go. But I'll get there. And when I get there, in order to qualify, please leave a like and a supportive comment on each of the last 5 videos that I released. Each of the last 5. Yeah, I like that video, Uncle Al, the flatbed pizza. That was a nice one. I like that little short. Yes, please hit the like button to support the channel. God bless you. God bless you. Well, you take care of yourself. If I can think to, I will call you this weekend, or I'll text you this weekend so we can talk. It's been a while since we've we've talked. Yeah, I'm subscribed to more channels than have subscribed me. I'm subscribed to like 17, 1800 channels. I'll have to check. I haven't checked recently. I have about 100 channels that visit me periodically. Some of them every day, some of them a couple times a week. You can sort of see who my hardcore support is from as look around who's here, who goes back and leaves comments. I get people who they didn't watch it, they were at work or something was going on. They'll go back and afterwards they'll go back. My hardcore support. I usually do not unsubscribe channels. If I've been subscribed to you, I'm subscribed to you. Now there are channels that I don't support. Like I've had 2 or 3 people that have gotten upset with me for whatever reason because I say things that they don't appreciate. And one of them is a fairly prominent up north of me in Texas, up north of Austin. And he felt like I had insulted or I had been insulting the Catholic Church. And, you know, sometimes you can't handle the truth of the Catholic Church, the history of the church. I don't lie. You can look it up. You know, it's hard to rewrite certain things in history. It's hard to rewrite when certain things started in history. You know, most of your fundamentalist types. And here I'm talking about religion. Most of your fundamentalist types, they'll go and they'll look at what's fundamentalist doctrine, fundamentalist beliefs and practices. What did the early church do? Or what's the history, like Protestants today? All down through the history of the church up until the Middle Ages, a priest could marry, Catholic priest, in the Catholic Church. And 1,000 years ago, about, I'll have to look at the exact dating, but there was a period of time after the church was well established and been around for 1,000 years or more. A pope decided to issue a ruling that priests could not marry. And the idea being that a married priest had legitimate children, and those children could inherit. And the church didn't want these priests to leave what they had to children. They want it left to the church. So if you don't allow a priest to be married, if they have a child, it's an illegitimate child, and an illegitimate child could not inherit. That's where that came from. Because if you read scriptures, the scriptures say that a priest should have but one wife. Paul goes into qualifications for clergy. If you read Paul's letters. And, you know, like qualifications for a deacon, qualifications for a priest, you know, good moral character should have but one wife. But a wife. No, they can't handle the proof. Oh, and that channel I'm talking about, Uncle Al, they cut you out too. Because I had that person talk to me about your channel. They didn't like you saying things and not being able to quote sources. They wanted to see your documentation when you stated something other. You know. So, but at any rate, you know, God bless them. God bless them. Um, but I'll tell you what broke their back. Um, what was it that broke their back? I even forget now. There were several things that were. Oh yes, purgatory and the selling of indulgences. Um, at one point, and the church was wanting to raise money. You know, back in the day, popes had the papal estates, and they basically controlled most of central Italy, part of their church lands, the papal estates. The church lands, they controlled a good chunk of middle of Italy. And so they had to pay for armies. They had a little army. They had a standing army that had to defend them against other small duchies and, you know, people that were ambitious trying to expand their lands. So they had to have, and they had to raise money, also for their lifestyle and for building and for whatever, being being patrons and sponsoring, you know, artists and sculptors and various, you know, or having projects done, built, or whatever. Remember, they were in control of Rome, and they had to basically upkeep of Rome and some of the other cities in the area. So they came up with the idea that if you didn't qualify to go to heaven immediately, you didn't qualify to go to heaven, you didn't qualify directly to go to hell, you were sort of in the middle. They came up with this concept of purgatory. And the idea of purgatory was your soul would be in purgatory for a certain amount of time until you were sufficiently purified that you could qualify to go to heaven. Now, the Bible, the Lord, quoting, "The dead sleep. What is death? You are asleep until you are summoned on Judgment Day." You're not up there floating around on a cloud. When Jesus raised Lazarus, he said he's asleep. And he said, "Lazarus, come forth." And Lazarus was already at the point where he was decomposing. He'd been buried for 4 or 5 days. He'd been in the tomb for 4 or 5 days. And after about 3 days, your body starts decomposing. It stinks. You start bloating. It starts, you know, a lot of bad stuff starts happening in the decomposition. And that's why when Jesus passed and he was dead, he wasn't allowed to stay dead beyond a certain period because he would not be allowed to see corruption. Scriptures, Old Testament scriptures state that the Holy One would not see corruption. And that's the reason why the Lord rose and his body had not seen corruption. He had not been dead long enough for his body to start corrupting. You know. That's scriptural. But at any rate, they decided to come up with the idea, hey, you can buy an indulgence. We'll say masses, we'll pray, and we will get your soul or the soul of your loved one out of purgatory so it can ascend into heaven. We will sell you a indulgence. And that was one of the things that the Catholic Church did for a period of time. They sold indulgences. Well, that's what set that person off. He felt like I was basically dishing the Catholic Church. And if you were a Catholic, I was brought up a Catholic too. I went to Catholic school. I graduated from Catholic school. Started in a convent, graduated from prep school. I was raised Catholic. Baptized, went through all the confirmation stuff. But I have adopted, as an adult, I have chosen my father's faith, which was Baptist. And, you know, the idea is salvation. Accept the Lord. No, whatever your denomination is, Catholic, whatever, accept Jesus as your Savior. Has to be washed in the blood. And, you know, be baptized. But I'm not here to proselytize anybody. You believe what you want to believe, but my beliefs are based on history. Stuff that I can read, stuff that's documentable through history. That's my beliefs. You know, what's in the scriptures and what's in history. And I'm down to 5 watching me, so I must have offended a few people. Yeah, Swiss, Germans. Southern Germany. Switzerland was part of the Holy Roman Empire, and the Swiss Guard was, yeah, German mercenaries. To this day, they've got that ceremonial Swiss Guard. I think there's about 100 of them or so. It's like the old German, the Roman emperors would have a household battalion, which was German bodyguards. They had the Praetorian Guard, which was almost like a little army. They would basically recruit the veterans from from the legions. They'd served a certain amount of time, the best of the best, and they were recruited into a Praetorian Guard. And then the bodyguard, the small bodyguard, which would be like the household battalion, they would use Germans. You know, and a lot of the Roman elites would have small bodyguards of Germans. They were considered fierce fighters. They were physically larger than your Italian. They were 6 inches taller than an Italian. Our ancestors, my ancestors, were 6 feet plus, 6 feet plus. The Europeans, Southern Europeans and such, they'd average. A man would be like 5.5 foot tall, average. Well, I'm sorry, the AI does not like history. 125, okay, yeah, good company of them. And I tell you what, they've got them dressed in ceremonial, but they're trained. They carry some heavy firepower. They pack some automatics. Well, and that's true. Back during the old days, when they had the Protestant Reformation, the Protestants and the Catholics were fighting. They're killing each other, butchering each other, and the Protestants were considered heretics. They killed them, and they didn't like the Catholics either. They were doing some serious. They had wars like in France. They had some serious wars. Um, Martin Luther, who was a Catholic priest who basically uh, rebelled against the church. That's the Lutherans, the Germans. Most of the Germans, the northern Germans, some of the southern Germans, Bavarians and such, are Catholic. The Austrians are Catholic. But up in the northern part, they're pretty much Protestant. Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark. Now, Poland's Catholic. And you get over into Russia, you're Orthodox. Largely Orthodox. Like what they call the Greek Orthodox or the Eastern Church. It's Orthodox Catholic, Greek Catholic. They had a falling out with Rome. the patriarch and the pope excommunicate each other, and then they've had like a rapprochement. Now, you can be if there's not a one of your churches around, you're allowed to go to the other church for services and for, Eucharist and such. There's been a rapprochement, and in the Greek Catholics, the priests are allowed to marry. Priests are married, most of them. Well, there's nothing against drinking. They have nothing against drinking, and actually, like Episcopalians, the Church of England, the church in America is called the Episcopal Church. They're like Catholics without the Pope. Very largely like Catholics. Well, their priests are married, and there have been a number of Episcopal priests that have petitioned to uh, transition to the Catholic Church, and they're married and they keep their wives. So there are some married Catholic priests, but they started out like Episcopalian. They started out Anglican or Episcopalian, and then they converted over and accepted Rome. The papacy, and they're married. But priests are not allowed to marry. Catholic priests are not allowed to marry. You can be a deacon and be married, but you can't be a priest. Uncle Al, I stick to making money. I get a real nice retirement check. I came out of retirement, I get a real nice paycheck. So I'm getting a double. You know. That's my money. I'm not making money off of this. YouTube does not make me a dime at this point. This is my hobby. And I feel like it's a ministry to teach. 42 minutes in, 4 in the house, 10 likes. I've had 11 channels come through that I can identify. It's been a slow night. Now, the funny thing, I'll have lurkers in here, and I look at my snapshot, and my snapshot will say I had like 60 views. And I might have had less than 20 that left me a comment. Gran Torino. Yeah, it was a good movie. He was older. My German relatives were Catholic. Yeah, people shop around. People will shop around. I've got a cousin who's raised Southern Baptist, and she goes to a Methodist church because they don't say anything about her smoking. The Baptist church would talk about her smoking, but the Methodists didn't say anything about her smoking. So she attends Methodist church because it's like Baptist light. Well, yeah, up in Scotland, there are a lot of Catholics in Scotland. The Highlanders. The Lowlands are Presbyterian, largely Presbyterian. When Henry VIII left the church because the Pope wouldn't give him a divorce from Catherine of Aragon, he reformed the church. He confiscated most of the church properties, and he made himself head of the church. And at that point, and the Pope in his youth had named him defender of the church. He had defended the church, but he needed a male heir. His father, they had fought the War of the Roses for like 100 years. The War of the Roses, the Yorks, the Lancasters, the You know, Henry Tudor, his father was Henry VII. He was the first king of that line, Tudor. He had Henry. Henry was a younger son. His older son died. Henry became the, heir apparent, and he inherited the throne. Well, his father was very tight financially. He was very tight. They did not like calling Parliament because Parliament wanted to get involved. They wanted to approve of stuff. Kings like to rule without having to deal with Parliament, but Parliament had to pass the taxes. So they were very limited. So he basically started raiding the church. He started confiscating church properties and selling them to raise money. And Henry VIII, he had ambitions in France. He wanted to reclaim lands that basically at the time when he came in, he had one coastal city that was still under British control. And then he went in and he fought the French king, and he took over Bologna, that province Bologna. And before it was all said and done, he lost his little coastal city. He got to the point where he didn't have anything, and it wasted a lot of money. Got people killed. It was just stupid, you know. Well, I mean, I haven't seen it. I saw the original series Shogun back in the days, like in the 80s. And it was sort of loosely based on a real situation. Um, Feudal Japan around that time. Um, you know, they'd never heard of a Christian. And then the Portuguese, who were explorers and who were traders and everything, they got involved, and they wound up over in Japan, and they did some trading. They bought um, they would buy products from Japan. They'd sell them products. They brought in the priests, the Jesuits and such. They started converting some of them to Christianity. And then, because they were fighting with the Protestants, um, the Protestants wanted to get involved over there. So they had ships, and they wound up exploring over there. And one of their ships blew up on their coast, and there were a few people who survived. And this one man who was like an officer and a pilot. And he did not speak the language. He wound up finding favor, got involved and found favor with one of these Japanese lords. And he was against the priest and the Catholic, priests and everything. And this Japanese lord kept him around, and he taught them some of their military tactics and the use of artillery. They took their artillery off of his ship. He'd had a certain amount of cannons on it, and they used them, for purpose. And this series Shogun sort of covers that. It's sort of historically, it's pretty good. They take some liberties, but it's pretty good. Anyway. It's like cannibals. Cannibalism. Yeah. Every so often the archaeologists will find remains and reason to believe that, there might have been some cannibalism involved. On the bones, they'll find bones, and they find like teeth marks and such, or they find marks on the bones that indicate that maybe something was going on, you know. And then, you know, animals kill you and eat you. Get a hungry animal predator, they'll eat a person. They just want the meat. Um, it is what it is, you know, that's the way things are. We're living in times. They're in the house. I think people prefer for me to talk about prepping stuff. They don't want to hear about religion. They don't want to hear about history. I guess I bore them talking about that kind of stuff because I think I run some of them off. Three in the house. Anyway, getting back to prepping, my wife is in the process. We're rotating water. So we're getting fresh cases of water and use the oldest stuff first, the newest stuff last, date the stuff that you got, always write dates down on it, get a rotation, determine how much you need based on how long you think you're going to need it. FEMA will tell you about a week. I would say for natural disaster type stuff, 2 weeks, be safe. So if you're prepping for a hurricane or you're prepping for some sort of power outage that's, you know, this normal related type stuff, you want to have at least a week and probably 2 weeks worth of water, canned foods, your medications, hygiene, all that sort of stuff. You want a couple of weeks worth. And you can have freeze-dried food. You need a means to heat it. You got to be able to boil water. You want coffee. You want hot tea. You want hot soup. You want to heat chili. You want to heat canned goods or Hormel Completes or whatever. You need a means to heat water. Those camp stoves I've been sending out, those little inexpensive camp stoves that burn either tabs or burn canned heat or propane. I mean, propane. Sterno. You need to have a couple of those. That way you can heat water. You need to have a porta potty type setup, like a 5-gallon can designated, a toilet seat that can sit over it that's designed for it, 13-gallon trash bags. You need wipes for hygiene. Use the restroom, seal up the bags, get rid of them. That's if the sewer's not working. Sewer backs up, it's not pumping. There's no power running through it, doesn't pump, no water running. You got to be able to plan for that. Yeah, grow a garden. That's important. Idaho Garden Girl, if you want to look at some of her stuff, she's real big on hydroponics. She's got hydroponics. She's got air gardens. She does indoor, you know, and you can grow a lot of stuff inside. Haven't been over to Camp Patton Family Compound recently. Gil does inside. He does some inside growing. He does some hydroponics. And that's good stuff. There's a limit to what you can grow, though. You can't grow the big stuff. You can't grow the big vine stuff that's got to spread out. You grow the small stuff, you know. And so you're limited in that. So you need an inventory of what you have. You need a list of what you need. And you need to shop it. You can go to garage sales, yard sales, estate sales. You can go to Goodwill. You can go to St. Vincent de Paul. You can go to Salvation Army. You can do a lot of stuff that way. Find, you know, the ad sack, the penny saver, the want ads in the newspaper. Shop for stuff. Shop around. Flea markets. Clearance sales. Seasonal change sales. Clearance sales. Seasonal change. They want to get rid of stuff. They're not going to keep it. They want to get rid of it, so they mark it way down. That's when you buy. The Philippines would be a nice place to live. If I didn't have my kids, a couple of daughters, if, my wife and everything, that would be a nice place to live. I could live like a king on my income over there. My retirement income, I could live like a king. I could live like a king on half my retirement income over there. And folks that are, doing YouTube, or they're doing stuff where they're monetized and they get money from whatever service and all that they got viewers from, and they're running ads and such. They get $300-400 over there. That's a big amount of money. $400 to me is like a day's pay. And they're talking about like a month, or more. So, look at it. When I wasn't working and it was just me with my hobby, I was putting in 6, 7, 8 hours a day sometimes on my YouTube channel. And yeah, I was getting some results from it. But I'm working my butt off, trying to get views, trying to get subscribers, trying to get likes and get my count up and everything, and get monetized and all that. Work your butt off for it. And then you got people who are monetized, and they get $100 a month, $125 a month, $150 a month. They're working their ass off. They got 3,000-4,000 subscribers. They're putting out content every day. They're working their channel every day for hours. And at the end of the month, they get a check for $150, $125. That's a couple hours for me working. But I mean, it's a nice hobby. I enjoy it as a hobby. YouTube is a nice hobby for me. But there are people who depend on the money they get from it. And yeah, you can make a lot of money. If you got a big channel, you get a lot of money. If when you do a 1 hour video, or you do a live stream, or you do some sort of vlog post or whatever, vlog, and you get 4, 5, 6,000 views every time you drop one. I mean, think about those hours. You're getting the hour, and they're running ads, because a lot of people they're not paying for premium. So they run the ads. They got to listen. They got to put up with the ads, and they're getting good checks. They're getting good checks. But if you're a smaller operation, your checks are going to be not too big. At one time, before we gave the Philippines up, and even after we gave the Philippines up, they were using the dollar. The two languages in the Philippines, they've got their native Tagalog. My pronunciation's horrible. Tagalog, or something to that effect. Tagalog. It's Tagalog. And Mike Crusher Reviews. Hi, Mike. So they speak Tagalog over there. Their second language is English. So they learn 2 languages. And you can go over there and they'll talk to you in English. But their number 1 language, their native language, is Tagalog. Tagalog. And Tagalog. And Some of them speak Spanish because Spain controlled the Philippines up until 120 years ago or so. You know, we fought that war, and that was one of the things we took is after in the treaty is we got the Philippines. Um, so SD Mountain Man, hey SD. Thanks for coming in, SD. The scouts are combining. They're calling themselves something else now. They went through a bankruptcy because of all the complaints they had and because of all the lawsuits that they lost, and they basically filed for bankruptcy because of all the pedophile problems that they had. And where they had like 5 million members, they're down to about 1 million members now. But the scouting motto, and I grew up with it 50 years ago, I followed it: be prepared. Preparedness. And that's what I preach. I preach preparations and being prepared, and that's where the prepper comes from. Every day when you wake up, thank God for the day. You don't know how many days you have, and when you don't wake up, you won't know it. When you pray, say the Lord's Prayer. The Lord taught us how to pray. He gave us the Lord's Prayer. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You want to be a leader, well, you got to be a good follower. And lead by example. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Be cognizant of what's going on around you. I tell kids this all the time. When you go into a new situation, keep your eyes open, listen, say very little. You don't want to let people know what you know or what you don't know. If you're not talking, they can't gauge you. They don't know. I can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and I can tell you how much education they have. I can pretty much tell you whether they're bright or not by their conversation. So if you don't want people to know about you, keep your cards close to your chest. Say very little. Okay, Holly, good night. Thank you, Uncle Al. Life is good, but it is what it is. I will plan on trying to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. This is the last week of school. I appreciate all of you. I will try to do a community wall post. Look at my shorts if you continue. I'm trying to drop 1 or 2 shorts a day now. Look at my shorts. Please leave a like and a supportive comment. You want to be in the drawing for my 1,600 subscriber giveaway? Please, when I drop a video, leave a like and a supportive comment. Everybody, please have a blessed day. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. Thank you. Bye.